All right, hello 7th grade. We're going to be talking about lesson 39 today, which is all about circumference of a circle. So circumference of a circle. And circumference is a very fancy word. All it means, I promise, is perimeter. So we're finding the perimeter of a circle, which, doesn't seem that bad. We found perimeter before, but this time it's curved, which is going to make our life a little bit harder, but that is all right. So first off, we have to make sure that we know how to make a circle, because if we don't know how to make a circle, we have a little bit of a problem. So what we're going to do, what a circle is, we have to start with a center point, and that right there we're going to use as our center point. And then when you're drawing a circle, you have to find all points that are a certain distance out. So we're going to pick a distance, and then we're going to get all the points that are that far out. So what that means is that every point on here, I know this is a poorly drawn circle, should be the same distance to the center as this point right here. So from there to there should be the same distance. From there to there should be the same distance. And what that distance is called the radius. So the radius is the distance to the center of our circle. All right, moving on just a little bit. A couple other words that we're going to need to know. If I draw another circle here, call that the middle. Another thing we can do with this, instead of just going from the center straight out to the outside, is we can draw a line straight through the middle, cutting our circle in half. And the length of that line itself is what we call a diameter. So a diameter is a line that cuts our circle in half. Very cool. So if we're looking at a diameter, we can see that right here would be a radius, and right there would be a radius. So our diameter has one radius, two radii. So our diameter then is going to have to be equal to 2 times the radius. Our diameter is going to be 2 times the radius. So again, these are all very important things with circles, but we said at the beginning that our goal here was to be able to find the circumference, and none of these are the circumference. So we're looking at our circle. Let me draw the circle again. There we go. Center's right here, and we're wondering what is the distance all the way around this thing, and well, it's kind of hard to figure it out because it's curved. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our diameter right here. And I'm actually going to rotate it, so I'm rotating this diameter that way. So now it is right there, and that is our diameter. What I'm going to do, I want you guys to picture that this right here, this circle is actually a can, and my diameter is now like a string that I'm going to be wrapping around it. So if I take my diameter and I push it up along the circle, what it ends up doing is making it right about to there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take another diameter, another one sticking straight out, and I'm going to wrap that one around too, and it should make it right about to there. If I do it one more time, take my diameter and wrap it around, it should make it right about to here, and we just got a little bit left. And what ends up happening is that we have 1, 2, 3 diameters and a little bit. What ends up looking a little bit like a 1/7 of a diameter there. And if we figure out what this number comes out to, we have that our circumference is going to be equal to not 1, not 2, but 3. I wrote 2. All right. 3.14159 diameters. and I am really hoping that you guys have seen this 3.14159 number before. It's a little bit familiar, at least. For in class, just to make this a little bit more manageable number, we're going to use 3.14 and call that close enough. And what that number is going to be pi. So pi equals 3.14. So because of that, we can say that our circumference equals pi times the diameter, which we'll call d. But earlier, we also said that our diameter equals 2 times the radius. So a radius only goes halfway across a circle. The diameter goes all the way, so you need 2 radii to make a diameter. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say my circumference is equal to pi, and instead of diameter here, I'm going to put 2 times the radius. So it's pi times 2 times the radius. So we end up with 2 times pi times the radius is going to be equal to the circumference. So now that we have that, let's look at some practice problems. If I have something that says a diameter of a truck wheel, so a diameter of a wheel is 35 inches, and I want to know how large the circumference is. How large is circumference? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my formula right up here, where the circumference is equal to pi times the diameter. So my diameter is 35, and I end up having circumference equals pi times 35. And if I solve that out, I get that C is right about 110 inches. If you plug that into a calculator, that's what you'll get. If you solve it by hand, that's what you'll get. I'm skipping that step just to make this video a little bit shorter. But I promise what you get is right about 110 inches. Another thing we can do is that I have a fan belt on a car that wraps around 2 pulleys. So I've got 2 pulleys, one here, one there, and a fan belt. All right. So one pulley has a diameter of 8, and the other pulley has a diameter of 12. And I'm asking what the ratio is of their circumferences. So the first thing I have to do is find the circumferences. And the circumference of my first one, right here, is going to be 8 is my radius, times 2 would be the diameter, times pi would be the circumference. Over on this side, for my circumference, I would get 12, my radius, times 2, my diameter, times pi is my circumference. Now it wants me to find the ratio of the circumferences. So the ratio of the circumferences is going to be the circumference of one, which is 8 times 2 times pi, divided by the circumference of the other, which is 12 times 2 times pi. And I have something on top and on bottom, so I can cancel out my pi's. I can cancel out my 2's, and I end up with 8 over 12. I can simplify that a little bit, dividing the top and bottom by 4. I end up getting 2 divided by 3. So the ratio of my pulleys there is going to be 2 to 3. 2 to 3. All right. My next one is, what happens when we double the diameter of a circle? What does that do to its circumference? I think that's a very good question. So if I have the circumference is equal to pi times the diameter there, pi times the diameter is going to be my circumference, then I'm asking what happens when I double the diameter. So I'm going to now have to multiply this by 2. So I take my pi d, and my new circumference is going to be equal to pi times 2 times my diameter. So I doubled my diameter there, and I got my new circumference. what I end up finding is that the new circumference is going to be equal to 2 times pi times d, but pi times d here was my old circumference, so my new circumference is equal to 2 times my old circumference, and that's going to be the answer. If you double the diameter of a circle, you also double its circumference. So the question I would like you guys to solve is, I want you guys to tell me, let's see, if I have a circle with a radius of 6 feet, what is the diameter? And what is the circumference? Thank you guys for listening. I will see y'all in class.